Hello everyone, Umber Rays here to give another video about the JP side, and today we gotta talk about the fact that Star Ocean is coming back to the JP side as well as a few other talking points. So what a package deal for this video. It's an intro. Anyway, let's get some music, and I'm sorry, you might want to turn down your volume just a scooch in case this does happen to blow out your ears, as I've been trying a lot of different Star Ocean songs and they all seem to have a horrible intro, so like literally I've turned the audio down so much and it just seems to blast. It's really weird. I don't know what's going on. But yes, Star Ocean is coming back to the JP side after it's getting a global premiere of specific units as Sophia. Well, I guess it's the JP's turn, and yes, this was the way I did this picture in threes today because I just saved it off of another source and it kind of came in threes. And now, just to drive you all crazy for the rest of the video, they're slightly not correct, and there was no way to get them perfect. And now that I pointed it out, it may drive you crazy for the rest of this video. Woohoo! I did it. Anyway, for the JP side, we are looking at a middle of the month banner, because JP has not just killed this idea of literally fleecing every damn penny as fast as it possibly can out of its players. And that's not salt or anger. That's literally what's going on. We've never seen this much of an influx of new banners with new stuff. It feels like Square Enix is super fucking desperate right now to try and get as much money as possible, and this could be based on a lot of things. This could be that Square is or Alum is really getting, beaten down on revenue and needs to make a ton of money, and the only way they could think about it is, hey, let's release 1,000 banners in a month and see what happens. And yes, that is an exaggeration. That's what you do sometimes. Anyway, so this is coming about the same time that the Tower event is coming back. And first of all, let's talk about the Tower event really quickly, because that I just feel like I need to get out of the way. Loose hair. Tower event is coming back from May 15th to May 31st, and it should be noted that it's the exact same as last month. So if you spent all of last month just spending a ton of time trying to get the entire Tower event done, nothing for you to do except, I guess, farm the Tower event. That sounds fun. Anyway, moving on, the Star Ocean banner will be coming out, and it should be noted that this seems to be a new process that Alum is doing, of just not telling the JP players about the step-up banners anymore. I'm not even joking. Recently, there's been a lot of banners that have been announced, but no information on the actual step-up banners at the time that these banners are announced. And I think that's really bad form on part of Square's, or Alum's, I should say. Maybe both. I'm not really sure who's making this decision, but I think it's really bad to kind of keep the step-up details out until the last minute. Maybe Square figures, or Alum figures, hey, if we just don't tell them to the last minute, yeah, they'll be mad, but they'll still pull on it and be mad. I guess. That's between the still playing players and you, Alum. But looking at what we can expect, we do know a few things. For one thing, there will be the regular ticket campaign at this point. Get Star Ocean tickets from the Step Up. Exchange for 5 for a 5-star Star Ocean unit of your choice. A couple of things make me worried about this. First of all, they say only from the Step Up, which means you will probably have to do multiple iterations of the Step Up to even get a single unit. Much as the way Noctis was. At the time, I had not realized that that's what they had done with the Noctis banner, because usually you get these tickets from just doing 11 pulls, but now you can only get them from the step-up banners, which is a generally worse deal, even for people who spend money, because you normally have to spend more money to get these, as you only get like 3 of these from a single run of the step-up banner, which is not enough. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but who is coming to the JP side? Well, Sophia, who is a brand new unit from Star Ocean 3. Hey, Sophia, nice to see you. I really wish, well, her and Fate can be paired on the JP side. They don't match at all, but what does Sophia look like? Well, from the details we do have, the official details, mind you, so they're on the post, so I'm not wrong for talking about them. Just kidding. TMR, staff, 28 attack, 135 magic. Sophia only 100% counter chance increase as well as percent MP. I hate this TMR is just bad. It's just bad for a ton of units in the game. 135 magic is quite low for what a lot of other equipment gives. Like, obviously super TMR level, but that's kind of the way the JP is. Super TMR is an accessory, 60 magic, 30% fire resistance, 20% MP, and 50% magic. Limit Burst is AoE, fire damage, and fire imperil. Really feels a lot like just global, and that's all they did. Hey, people were wondering when they were getting this unit on the JP side, so just copy pasta and let's go to lunch, because I really am in the mood for pasta. There is pasta restaurants over here. Anyway. Fire, Ice, Thunder, Earth, and Dark Magic are in her kit. Damage and Imperil respectively. AoE Earth damage and Petrify chance. AoE Thunder damage and Paralyze chance. AoE Ice damage and Stop chance. AoE Fire damage and Fire damage per turn. W and Triple Casting in her kit. 7 stars has basically the Fire, Earth, and Dark with damage 2 times damage up on consecutive uses respectively. Also uses self HP to restore self MP, damage mod up for certain abilities, AoE Fire and Dark Imperil, and an AoE Fire or Dark damage. Really seems just like exactly the global kit, and we'll talk about what I think the impact of these units is going to be on the global side at the end of it. Fate is basically the same TMR and Super TMR that he had before, which wasn't good back then and isn't good now. So, yeah. Moving on. New skill set will be a 7-star, a single target defense ignoring damage, as well as a 7-star self-attack, very large up. Ooh, I was a little worried there at the large, but that very just saved it right at the end. All allies, light resistance up, allows for triple cast, Fate for a single turn. 7 stars also has W cast and triple cast Fate, which is kind of confusing. I guess he gets triple cast from one of his abilities for a single turn, but he also has it in his kit naturally. Could be just a misprint. 7-star also a AoE defense ignoring light damage, light imperil, damage mod up for certain ability. And last but not least is Rena 7-star. Same TMR, same Super TMR that we had before, but now the 7-star kit, AoE spirit-based, highly damaging light damage attack with damage mod up for certain abilities, and grants an ability, which is basically triple cast. Why didn't it just say grants triple cast? Flavor, I guess. AoE 3-turn magic mitigation, single target spirit-based damage, and spirit break unlocks an ability which is a single target spirit-based high damaging nuke, and an all allies spirit break cure and spirit greatly increase and MP restorer. Alright, so here's what we're looking at. We're basically looking at 3 units that are limited time, and here's the big question. Are they going to be as good as Summon Festival characters? Because that's the to which all characters are measured now. To the point that pretty much every character is a Summon Festival character. I'm not even joking. All we need is in the month of May for the raid to be a Summon Fest, and every character was basically limited. Which is amazing for the entire month of May because we got extra banners through the month of May. I'm sorry for people who think that I don't sound overly positive about this, but it's not. It's basically a whale's paradise to a way, but not even that anymore because a whale probably isn't feeling really good about the JP side because, well, shoot, now I need to go on this banner and this banner. They hid the Luna banner, now I need to spend on that. Now they have a surprise Star Ocean banner after putting out the Madame banner. Whatever you can do, Alum, to make as much money as possible. And I feel really bad for the whales who are just going along with this. Used to be a time where we only had 3 banners. Oh, what a beautiful time. But the real question is, are these 3 characters still going to be relevant on the JP side? And to be fair, my personal bet is probably going to be no. On one hand, that's great for some people, as you don't need to try for these characters unless you're a fan of them. But it also means, I mean, here's the thing. So I could almost give a 99.999999999 percentage expectation that Sophia is going to be nowhere near as good. I expect Sophia to basically be Ellie level, and that's kind of it. And that's fairly low. I imagine that they've upped the modifiers a little bit, but it's not going to come close to CG Legs, who is CG Darkvina, because she has legs sticking out in her sprite. There you go. When it comes to Fate, Fate has to compete with Onion Knight, which is already a scary thing. CG Onion Knight is already incredibly powerful. And there's also Noctis, Adele, Madame Adele, as well as just Chair Rain. There is a ton of top tier DPS, and nothing about Fate's kits so far seems like it's going to be overly exciting. If he doesn't get true dual wield, I'm willing to call him dead in the water. His TMR is not that great, and even his super TMR is not that great anymore. So it depends for the rest of his... Of course, it will always depend on these units' kits, but even Rena, I just don't think that she's going to be that great, because there has to be a lot of upgrades to her kit. She came out a long time ago, even before 7 stars were a thing, and now she needs a lot in her kit to update to be remotely good. She has to compete against Chocobofina. So you're looking at 3 units right now that just don't seem like they're going to measure up preemptively from what I have seen in their kits. Especially with all of these TMRs and super TMRs seeming pretty lower in quality compared to what is currently out on the JP side. Again, this is good for some JP players. It gives them a bit of a break on a banner they weren't expecting to pull or have this month anyway. It also means that our raid is not anything important either. I guess this has happened before. I should be a little more fair. We have had repeats of Valkyrie profile as well as some of the other collaborations, but this is a collaboration with actually some new content and actually a new character for the JP side. It just doesn't seem updated enough. Sophia is always going to have that very limited TMR, which CG Legs doesn't have to put up with. Fades is always going to have that limited TMR or super TMR, as well as Rena, and both of them have some pretty high competition to go up against. Rena against, Chocobofina is just this spirit chainer of choice, and she's not limited anyway, and she's already very powerful. So I really don't think that you need Rena at all. There just isn't that need on the JP side. Yeah, her accessory is pretty nice, but it's just pretty nice. Fate, on the other hand, I think he is so dead in the water over what he has to compete against. And again, limited time. Not that the other DPS really isn't limited time, but hey, it was a nice thought while it lasted. And yeah, so I'm done talking about the Star Ocean units. Here's my general thing. My general thoughts about it. Unless their kits, especially the old units of Rena and Fate, get a massive, absolutely massive upgrade, they are not going to be powerful enough. And as for Sophia, seems like they just copy-pasted her from Global and probably gave her some higher modifiers. Again, we'll see what the kits look like with the data mine, but it's not overly exciting for her promise either, because here's the thing. Alum has no reason to make these units better than what is currently out there. just make them okay. Why? I mean, they're limited units. You're either going to be a fan of this collaboration or not. But summon festivals are higher value probably for Alum. They're more attention grabbers at this point. So there isn't really a reason to not just make these units, I think, just okay. Good enough that they can say that they put them in the game so that they can have that as a selling feature. But really, I don't know if anybody's overly foaming at the mouth for this. And it is another limited banner when a lot of JP players are probably feeling pretty taxed for resources. So now, with all of that being said, cut the music and let's talk about something else, which is really, well, just about the Square earning profits. And yeah, this is kind of a big one. It turns out that Square's annual results are out, and interestingly enough, the mobile gaming seems to have basically kind of been the same. Square Enix forecast also only calls for a bit of an increase too, and I will bring it up that I believe it was Garwin on Reddit who brought this to a lot of people's attentions. These earning forecasts are available for anybody to look at. I mean, you can look at it basically right now. I can even put the link in the video description. Actually, it's probably already there. Magic! Anyway, long story short is that it seems like Brave Exvius overall, like, their mobile gaming division did not get any bigger. It didn't earn any extra money, and it seems like operating forecast or the operating costs are a little bit complicated. It seems like Square is investing into something. It could be War of the Visions. It could be just development costs on making CG characters. I don't really know, as it's not overly expensive. But Square Enix is kind of putting apparently a lot of focus into mobile gaming. And to be fair, why not? Mobile gaming is a big source of income. Really, if you look at what the operating cost should be for a mobile game, it should be relatively easy in theory, unless there's a ton of other stuff. But yeah, I mean, really, a big amount of Square Enix's money seems to be coming from mobile gaming, which will probably mean that mobile gaming will continue to be a big part of Square Enix for the foreseeable future. A little worrying, but Square Enix has some big projects in the pipeline. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII Remake is probably one of the biggest, and I would assume at some point they have already at least to some extent started working on, you know, the next Dragon Quest, the next major Final Fantasy, as well as a whole bunch of other titles too that we don't know about. There's always stuff going in behind the scenes. The same with Brave Exvius. Brave Exvius plans its stuff months in advance. Literally months in advance. But I mean, it might show a little bit of... There's always been this picture and this little bit of information in my mind that Square Enix has been putting maybe a little more pressure on Alum and Gummy to deliver, you know, the financial earnings, because Square Enix wants those financial earnings. And Square Enix has been traditionally in the past pretty harsh when it comes to financial earnings. Again, not having seen the big picture, seems that way, as they have said in some of their major franchises, whoops, kick the table, is with Deus Ex, they basically killed Deus Ex as a franchise because the series wasn't earning enough. Even Tomb Raider was a disappointment, and Tomb Raider sales never looked that bad, so there's a little bit of a question of what's going on there. But with the operating costs of developing Final Fantasy 15 and obviously axing Final Fantasy 15 as well as a lot of the DLC, Square Enix could be in a bit of a scramble to just try and shore up earnings as much as possible. Not seeing growth in a business year over year is probably not exactly making investors happy either, which internally probably makes for a bit of a high pressure situation to put on Alum and Gummy of saying that they need to essentially develop more guaranteed ways of getting money out of people, which is probably why we've seen some of the developments that we had, a shift on the JP side towards summon festivals in order to incentivize or pressure whales into getting to spending more money. Problem is that the general way that it's been done is kind of backfired against them, as people have seemingly more left the game, and a not increasing revenue probably doesn't mean growth in any of Square Enix's mobile games, which is also maybe a little bit concerning. It's not a decrease, which is an actual sign maybe of panic, but yeah, it's probably a little bit telling of some of the stuff that we've seen that, Square Enix is trying to tighten its belt and making sure that Alum and Gummy are doing everything they can to increase revenue, regardless of what methods are being done. Again, just seems that way as a lot of the actions recently have been more focused towards squeezing money rather than trying to make a healthy environment. And the fact that Square Enix is getting fairly beaten by a number of other mobile games out there kind of shows that if you do it better in the marketplace some places, and mobile gaming is just pretty highly competitive when you can so many mobile games release. So there's a ton of factors involved here. I'm not going to say 100% that any of this really points that this is the only reason for summon festivals. Square or Alum could just be trying to re-energize players. Mind you, in some of the worst way possible. But whatever. Looking from the outside inside, the global ban wave happening, as well as the number of limited banners that have been now, and really just waiting for that raid, man. I am so interested to see what happens with the raid, as well as the live stream at the end of this month. For all the talk and criticism and people quitting and massive videos getting a ton of views of a whale selling off, basically deleting his entire account, the real big question is how Alum will react to this. The safe bet is probably they will do nothing about it because they don't need to. So long as incomes are still happening from the rest of the player base, maybe they just don't feel that bad when a fair amount of their player base leaves. It also could be that they're just hedging their bets, getting as much money as they can before they finally put out War of the Visions. There are so many options right now. And War of the Visions will start this entire cycle all over again. Ooh, exciting, Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy. This is a fun game. This is like tactics. This is great. Oh, they're getting greedy. Oh man, they did something bad. Well, I quit. I'm leaving this. I'll never play another Square Enix mobile game again. Till the next one. Anyway, are you excited for the Star Ocean characters? Sorry, rambled a little too long in this video. I guess tomorrow I'll take a look at their kits and see if they are really worth spending any resources on. Although I feel like this is the easiest skip of the year. And I say that a fair bit too. See you next time.